There's just way too much to unpack with what happened with Robert McBride yesterday. But I want to unpack this little portion, okay, before we go back to the ad hoc committee later on this morning. Basically, Robert McBride proudly told the nation that, listen, I am ANC, okay? My ANC comrades said blah, blah, blah. Basically, all I heard after that was, okay, so ANC is addressing ANC. Why are we even here? They could have done this at a rally. So, what will make him unbiased in all his testimonies? But then, this happens. So, let's go ahead and listen in. I'll be back with the rest of my commentary.
Honorable Sangoni.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Mr. McBride. Sorry, that sentence sounds incomplete. Through you, you said he was beholden to be told what to do. By who?
I reckon by my fellow comrades in the ANC who had convinced themselves by whatever they were told by the then senior member of the ANC, Nkosi Nhleko.
Honorable James.
Thank you, Chair. I raised my hand earlier on, I think twice. You didn't recognize me, and I'm going to go back to the same question because it's relevant now. You mentioned that there was a plot against General Sibiya, and you mentioned that all the statements given was incorrect by the members within SAPS. Who were these members?
The people who made the false statements.
Yes.
So it was, I don't remember the names off by heart yet, but it was the same people, and that's what Kuba explained to me. At some stage, General Sibiya, and here's where the problem starts, arrested General Mcbride, Richard Mcbride. And during the appearance of Richard Mcbride in the court in Johannesburg, a number of armed people were putting the proceedings under surveillance, and Sibiya and his fellow officers approached them, and an altercation ensued, ultimately which led to the arrest of those people. And those people describe Sibiya in a particular way, a tall man in a gray suit and driving a BMW. Now that same description of him mysteriously comes up by the same people of crime intelligence. By the way, those people of crime intelligence, honorable member, they were crime intelligence members, and the name comes up again in this rendition issue as the statement supposedly implicating Sibiya. But where they placed Sibiya on the scene, Sibiya is 100 kilometers away from there, from the cell phone records which were obtained subsequently. So in my mind, it's a stitch up. It's a fabrication. And that's what, according to Kuba, what gave him an idea to look is that he investigated both cases. So that's how you remember the statement in the other one. And then it became clearer afterwards when we got the cell phone records. It can't be, unless General Sibiya has the ability to bilocate and be in two places at the same time.
Okay, Mr. McBride, you can stop speaking.
Oh, Mr. McBride, you must not follow the Senzo Meyiwa trial, do you? Well, we sat for many weeks listening to Section 205 records, which are cell phone records of the accused persons being read into the record by Vodacom Dun. Anyway, I have a point that I'm getting to, okay? So those cell phone records proved that the current 5 accused in the dock in case 636 of 2014. Did I say 636? No, it's 636. Yeah. So basically, the cell phone records put the accused away from the crime scene. That became a problem for the state because the cell phone records are saying they were not there. But it is essential for the state to place them in the vicinity of the crime scene where Senzo Meyiwa lost his life. So the judge, I quote, said, just because the cell phone is not in the vicinity of the crime scene doesn't mean that the accused were not at the crime scene. Mic drop. How about that? Since you're saying Shadrack Sibiya can't have been in two places, well, the judge said he could have left his cell phone at home. Maybe somebody else was using his cell phone. I don't know what year the case you're referring to is, but I'm just saying, I am using a citation from the Senzo Mewa trial, the current sitting judge proudly said, well, just because the cell phone records don't show that they were there doesn't mean they were not there. So I apply the same here. With that, let's continue listening on. Let me know if you agree or you really think there's no way Shadrack Sibiya could have been there. The current Shadrack Sibiya, the one whose hand is in everything, including disbanding the PKTT and taking the 121 dockets. Where are the 121 dockets? Somebody left me a comment and said, I don't focus on, negative comments, but I thought this one was absolutely hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious when a troll contributes to the engagement of the channel. So I also have to honor them because they've contributed to engagement and the growth of the channel by leaving their comment. Sometimes those comments show ignorance. But this particular comment said, I cannot stand your voice. And I remember seeing the notification and I just burst out laughing. And the person says, I can't stand your voice. Every time you speak, I pull my hair out. So I respond back and I say, oh my goodness, you must be bald by now. You will go bald. Why are you in the business of listening to somebody whose voice you don't like? And I'm not in the business of helping you learn how to click out of a video, but instead you choose to pull your hair out. I don't know whether to be honored that you stayed to continue watching. Interesting. Anyway, I think they even said my videos are interesting. That comment was all over the place. I'm going to look for it and I'm going to put it in the community tab so you guys can see that I'm not making this up. These are real comments in the comment section. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let's continue to the next portion.
I want to give you a break, honorable members, and because this is your time now. Let me check, is there anyone of you who wants to speak? This is your time.
No, Chair, just to remind the witness to mind the mic. Only that, Chair, nothing else.
Okay. Any other? Are you satisfied, Honorable James?
Not quite, Chair, because political interference and factions is what we are probing with INSAPs. And Mr. Mcbride takes us back to 2014, and he says that the factions actually started then, and it kicked off with the arrest of Richard Mdluli. And this is why I'm asking names, if you're saying it started then. Are they still employed within crime intelligence? And you also specifically mentioned crime intelligence, and that is where the rot is today and the people that we are dealing with. Are they still employed within crime intelligence? Okay, thanks.
My apologies, Chief Whip. I can't say definitively, but from my knowledge, they still are.
I want to get indication from you, Honorable James. Are you satisfied?
Drop a 1 in the comment section if you follow the Senzo Mewa trial. I'll repeat, drop a 1 in the comment section if you follow the Senzo Mewa trial. You heard it. Mcbride said it loud and clear. Or should I say Honorable James asked the questions. So the factions started in 2014. Robert Mcbride says, to my knowledge, I can't say it affirmatively, but yes. Now here's the pop quiz question. What happened in 2014? I've given you enough time to type it down. Senzo Mewa trial, or should I say crime scene. Dun dun. Investigations started on the 26th of October, 2014. I'll drop my mic right there.